Dear learners, welcome to teaching learning session of retail management. Right. In our today's lecture, we'll discuss about the retail environment. Right. The retail environment is exposed and influenced by the external factors and forces that affects the retailer's ability to build and sustain meaningful transactions and relationship with the target customers. Obviously, anything is influenced by external factors, right? That is, there are certain external factors which impact or which influence the retailer's ability to make a meaningful and the sustainable relationship with the target customers, right? There are many factors which we will discuss during our lecture that impacts the relationship between the retailer and the customer. The environment in which one operates can be conveniently categorized into the micro environment and the macro environment. What is micro environment and what is macro environment? Micro environment includes the suppliers, intermediaries, customers, competitors, and public at a place. While macro environment includes the legal, social framework, economic, and technological forces. Right? Micro environment which you can observe and which you can achieve, which you can change yourself as per those environment, like supplier, intermediaries, customers. All these are the micro environment, right? There are the regulatory framework for the retailers, right? When you want to be into the business of retailing, there is a framework for the retailers, right? That has been described by the government, that is the Department of Promotion for Industry and the Internal Trade, that is DPIIT, which falls under the aegis of Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and Government of India is primarily responsible for drafting the regulatory framework for retailing business in India. Right? So that framework has been in any of the country, the government decides the framework, and in India that is the DPIIT, which comes falls under the aegis of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. They formed a framework for the retailers. The department has been instrumental with proposing the foreign direct investment in the retail business in India over the years. We know about the FDIs, that is the foreign direct investment, and this department, right? That is FDI, and we all know that FDI is acceptable in India, right? There are hundreds in a few spheres there is the 100% FDI is allowed, in another 50 to 49 to 50% or 51% is allowed, right? Later on, e-commerce is picked up and the government formed a framework for the e-commerce, because again e-commerce is a part of a retailing, right? The government has drafted a policy related to the e-commerce business, right? So as to ensure the common playing field for the all stakeholders in the industry, right? So that they want, because the government wants to give the same field, common playing field to each and every stakeholder in the industry. So they drafted the policies for the offline retailing as well as for the online retailing, right? FDI in retailing is the policy predicts that up to 100% FDI in cash and carry wholesale trade business as well as e-commerce business. So there could be the 100% FDI, that is any foreign direct investment could be the 100% in cash and carry or the wholesale trade business as well as in e-commerce business. And the policy also allows 100% FDI in single brand retailing. If that is retailing a single brand, that is there could be the 100% FDI. But this cap in multi brand retailing, it is there is a cap of 51% FDI, right? With the condition that it could be achieved only through the government approval. While in cases of multi-brand retailing, if someone is retailing the multiple brands, then the cap is that FDI cap is 51%, and that's true with the government approval. So FDI is allowed in retailing up to 100%, minimum is 50%, and up to 100% is allowed, right? There are certain ethical consideration and responsibilities in retailing. It is very important, right, that there are certain responsibilities of retailers, and that certain ethics should be followed by the retailer. Like ethical practices of any business is driven by the value system of the organization. So it depends on the value system of the organization, and retailers prime motive is profitability, right? Why we are into business? Just to earn the profit. And retailer must develop a value which act as a guide to their appropriate behavior, right? So it is the ethically the retailer should form a guide which it should develop the set of values, right, that should act as a guide for their appropriate behavior, how to behave with the customers, right? That the see the this value system depends the value system depends on the organization, and the retailer should develop the ethical system or the system or the values which act as a guide for their appropriate behavior, that they how they will behave with the customers, with the intermediaries, or with the suppliers. They should behave ethically. They should not cheat anyone. Their core responsibilities towards the recognizing the rights of their customer, right? It is important that you should understand the rights of your customer and should behave accordingly, right? So the core responsibility of retailer is to recognizing the rights of their customer, and always remember that customer is king, right? So one should that if customer that your business is customer driven business, right? If you will treat them properly, if you will follow the ethics, if you will recognize their rights, then the customer will come back to you again and again and will become the loyal customer, right? So it is very important that they should recognize the rights of their customers. Retailers should provide them the ample freedom of choice during their shopping trips, be transparent in their dealings, deliver as per their promises, and be supportive of their customer grievances. Right, so it is very important that customer that they should give the freedom of to choose their products. Right, should help the customer, that retailer should help the customer, should guide the customer if they ask for the help, right? Otherwise give them the freedom to choose so that they can choose by their own, rather than forcing them to how what to purchase, right? Be transparent in your dealing. There should be no hidden cost or the hidden agendas or the hidden terms and conditions, right? Be transparent in your dealing, right? Whatever you are offering, there should be a transparency. If there are terms and conditions applied, that those terms and conditions should be known to the customers, right? Deliver as per your promises, that the retailer should deliver the product as per the promises, should not deliver any other product, right? Or that is deliver the product on time at right place, and the same product should be delivered, right? And keep your promises, and be supportive to the customer grievances. If some customer have some certain type of the grievances, then it is the responsibility of the retailer to understand, to listen to their grievances and take the proper action, right, to rectify those grievances. The other significant stakeholders are the general public. Socially responsible retailers strive to achieve expectations of the society, right? There are certain expectations of the society from each and every individual, and same from the retailer, the society expects something, and that the society is there is an important stakeholder, and it is the responsibility of the retailer to strive to fulfill the expectations of the society, right? Like actions like providing packaging and baggages, right. Don't ask for money, extra money for those baggage. If you are selling of your product and you are asking 10 rupees or 12 rupees extra for that plastic bag, for that bag, right, that is not done. Because when you are selling your product, how one will carry that product. Provide them the package, that is, provide them the recycled packaging and the baggages, right? No plastic. When the rule is that no plastic bag should be offered, so don't offer them the plastic bags, don't provide them the plastic bags, but again don't charge them extra for those bags. This is not ethical, right? Donating to the causes, that is, when you are earning well, then you should do some csr activities involved, donate for a cause, right? Because it impacts the general public or society as a whole, right? Not participating in endorsing a product like tobacco or discriminating activities and taking stand against the illegal activities are reflection of the ethical behavior. It is important that you should not participate, you should not endorse the product which could be harmful for the society as a whole, like tobacco, like alcohol, like other things, right? Don't discriminate between the people, or taking a stand against the illegal activities. Don't indulge yourself into illegal activities, right? Take stand against the illegal activity. All these reflects the ethical behavior of ethical behavior of retailer, and it is important because it creates a bond between the customer, between the society and the retailer, and customer automatically is a part of a society. Then it creates a bond between a retailer and the customer. Retailer have to deal with the multiple vendors, logistic partners, bankers, chartered accountants, and other advisors, lenders, etc. Their interaction with each in a transparent manner results in delivering the values to all business partners, not only with the customers, but with their vendors, but with their logistic partners, but with their legal advisors, accountants, that there should be a transparency between the retailer and other stakeholders, because it results in the delivering the values to these business partners, right? When you are transparently dealing with your vendors, with your logistic partners, they will walk an extra mile, they could walk an extra mile for you, and will create a relationship between the vendor, logistic partner, and the retailer. And in turn, right, when your product is available in the market, right, right, and you have a good rapport in the market, right, then there will be a relationship between the customer and the retailer. So it is very important that both the retailer should have a good relationship with the customers, should follow the ethical, or should have a transparent relationships or the transparent dealing with the retailers, with the customers, as well as with the vendors, logistic partners, and others, right? There is a strategic retailing planning process. While whenever you are planning something, right, it is very important to form the strategy. That the strategic planning is the process by which organization foresees its future and develops the necessary procedures and operations to achieve its objective, right? So if we define the strategy planning, what is the strategy means, that is in this, that is any of the business foresees its a future, what they want to be, right? How could they achieve it, and they foresees their future, and develops the necessary procedures and operations to achieve its objectives. As they have foreseen their futures, they have framed some objectives for them, then they develop the necessary procedures, they develop the necessary operations to achieve those objectives. The process of strategic planning is time consuming, right? Obviously the strategic planning, that is the this process of strategic planning is time consuming, it takes time, right? Steps of the strategic planning process, what all are the steps of the strategic planning process? The four possible approaches of planning is reactive, right? There are four possible approaches of strategic planning. How could you make your procedures and operations, how will you plan your procedures and that is operations to achieve your target? There could be the four approaches. The first approach is reactive approach. Reactive approach is what? In this approach, this is the past oriented approach, right? An active attempt to turn back the clock to the past. There is often a desire to return to the good old days. People seek to undo the change that has created the present and they fear the future, which they attempt to avoid. So reactive procedure, the first planning is the strategic planning, that they want to go back to the golden time and they want to avoid the present and the future. That is the reactive type of the planning, that we will do what we had done in our future. That is the reactive approach. Then the inactive approach, this approach is present oriented and attempts to preserve the present, which is preferable to both the future and the past. While the present may have problem, it is better than the past. The expectations is that things are as good as they are likely to get, and future will only be worse. Any additional changes is likely to be for the worse and should therefore be avoided. So first was the reactive approach. Reactive approach is when we stick back to the past and wanted to go back to the golden days, right? We would like to adopt the golden past approaches, right? While inactive approach deals with the present rather than the past and the future, because past has gone and they consider that future could be worse. Whatever is present today is the best, or it is the better, and that is the expectation is that things are good at present, right, at that time, and it could get likely to get worse in future, right? So this is an inactive approach. Pre-active approach is what this approach is about: envisioning the future, an attempt to envision the future and then to plan the same. Technological changes is seen as the driving forces bring about the future, which will be better than the present or the past. The planning process seeks to position the organization to take the advantage of changes that is happening around them. So, excuse me. Third approach is pre-active approach. Pre-active approach of strategic planning is when you envision into the future, when you foresee your future and attempts to envision the future and then plan for the same, like the technological changes, right, seen by driving that there in future, if you see that in future there will be a technological change, and then these technology will be better than the present and the past, then planning your process to seek advantage of that position, to seek the position of an organization, to take the advantages of their change. That is, you have foreseen the conditions beforehand and now you want to change your business as per the future, so that you can position the organization to take the advantage of change, right, that is happening around them. Then the proactive period, pre-active period, then the proactive period. This approach is about creating the future rather than forcing the future, envisioning in the future. You are creating the future, designing a desired future, then looking for ways to create a future state. Not only the future preferred state, but the organization can actively control the outcome. Planners actively shape the futures rather than just trying to ahead of events outside their control. So there could be the four strategies, right? For the planning, four possible approaches of the planning. That is the reactive period, when you stick back to your past planning processes. Inactive period, as per the requirement of today, you make your strategies. Then come the proactive period, preactive period, when you envision into future, right, and want to take advantage, want to place your organization as to take advantage of the changes. Then that is the preactive period, and then that is another strategic approach is proactive is that when you are creating a future, when you are the one who is planning to change, or you are the one who wants to change, or you are planning to change the future. You are creating the future, right? You are designing a future and looking the ways to create a future state, and you are making these strategies to change the future. Proactive approach is there, right? There are certain other things which we should consider while making the strategic planning. That is importance of the cost effective delivery planning, right? All organization needs some form of planning processes, right? every organization needs the planning processes. If you will work without any planning, then there will the business will face the difficulties, right? Often the need for planning is even greater in a smaller companies where the risk of being able to effectively respond to ever-changing marketplace is limited by internal capabilities because of the finances, because of the vendor, and because of the limited technological advancement, right? So it is required that the small business should need more planning, right, rather than the big businesses because of the limited internal capabilities. To evaluate the level of resources needed to move the planning process forward, the self evaluation exercise need to undertake to determine what is the level of internal awareness about the planning process and whether it exists or not. So it is very important for the small business, that is to understand the resources required to move the planning process forward, what all we need, and that is it is required to self evaluate ourselves so that we could understand about our awareness, about our internal awareness about the processes before moving forward, right? If the organization is serious in developing its ability to envision its future, there must be a way to develop a critical mass of component people in the required domain area. This requires an organizational awareness about its level of learning and development of learning plan to move forward. If you really want to invade into the future, it is required to understand your present level of learning, and that is awareness about the level of earning and the development of the learning plan to move forward. How will you move forward, right? See, that is the values play a very important role in the organizational work culture. That is a role of values on organizational work culture, right? That organizational work culture plays a very important role. There are the two models of the work culture. That is the interpersonal interaction model of the work culture and risk and the feedback model of the work culture, right? So what type of a work culture do you want to develop in your organization? Because all this comes under the planning, and as per your work culture, it depends how you can position or how your organization will be, right? So first is your interpersonal interaction model of the work culture. What is the interpersonal interaction model of the work culture? That is, there is a power culture. The power culture. Power culture means interperson and interpersonal and interactional model of work culture is one is the power culture. Power culture means the strong leaders are required to allocate the resources. Leaders are firm but fair and generous to loyal followers. If badly managed, there is a rule by fear, abuse of power for personal growth and gain, and political intrigue. So, power culture here is the leader is the one who takes the resources, who takes the decisions and allocate the resources. If leaders are firm, it is required that leaders should be firm and should be fair, unbiased, should be generous with the loyal followers. But there are certain negative disadvantages of this culture, that if this culture is badly managed, then there will be the rule of fear because leader is the one who decides everything. Then there would be the abuse for the personal, there could be the abuses of power for the personal gain and political politics will be there. Then the second is the achievement culture. Achievement culture means what? Rewards results, not unproductive efforts. Work team are self-directed. That rules and structure serves the system, not and end by themselves. A possible downside is sustaining energy and enthusiasm over the time. So achievement culture is what? Achievement culture is reward your employees who achieves their targets, who helps to achieve the objectives of the organization. So reward results, not unproductive efforts. When you reward them, when you recognize their achievements, right, they would respond, it would create into the productivity, it would increase the or impact the productivity, it would increase the productivity. That in this achievement culture, the work teams are self directed because of the reward culture. If you will perform, if you will achieve the targets, or if you will achieve your goals, then there will be the rewards, and because of these rewards, the work teams are self directed. Rules and structure serves the system, not an end by themselves. There are certain rules, certain structures. They serve you to guide, but they are not end by themselves. The worker or the manager can take the decision by themselves. A possible downside is sustaining energy and enthusiasm over time. It is required that there should be that the keep that it is important to keep the work team enthusiastic and to sustain the energy at all the time. Then another culture could be the support culture. Employees is valued as an individual as well as a worker. Employee harmony is important, and weakness is possible internal commitment without an external task force. So, supportive culture, that when the management supports the workers and workers supports the management, that is employee is valued as an individual as well as the worker, and employee harmony is important. Then the role culture, rule of law with clear responsibility and the reward system provides the stability, justice, and efficiency. Weakness is impersonal operating process and stifling of creativity and innovation. So there is a role culture that every individual, there is a well-defined role for each and every individual. There is a well-defined responsibility and the reward system, right? The advantage of this is that it provides the stability, it provides the justice and the efficiency. But again, there are certain weaknesses with this culture, right? That is, there is an impersonal operating procedures, right? Because roles are well defined, it creates an hindrance in innovation and the creativity of an individual, right? The next model is risk and feedback model of the work culture. What is the risk and feedback model of the work culture? The first is that is the macho tough guy culture, that is the high risk quick feedback of results, right? That is risk and feedback. It depends on the risk and it depends on the feedback. Macho tough guy culture, high risk, where the risk is high and the quick feedback of result is required. That is the macho tough guy. Advertising and entertainment industry is this. The high risks are involved and the quick feedback is, we need the quick feedback or we get the quick feedback. Work hard and play hard culture, that is few risk and quick feedback, that is sales driven, right? Any business which is sales driven, few risks are there and the quick feedback. But the company culture means high risk and the slow feedback, like in aerospace industry, high risk but the slow feedback, right? Process culture, little to no feedback. Concentration is how work is done, highly regulated by the government. Like in government offices, no feedback, but concentration is how work is done, right? So it is very important, right, while you are making a strategic planning, to analyze your situation, right, to identify the current situation. Then only you can make your strategy planning, then only you can plan your strategies, right, for future. Situation analysis is what? Situational analysis is the process of determining the state of an organization's business, for state of the business, identifying the gaps and taking the corrective action. Situational analysis, where you want to be, where you are, and where you want to be. Is there something which possesses threat to your safety, to your business, to your health of your business? Right, so this is situational analysis, that is you are analyzing your situation, where you are, where you want to be. Is there something around you which possesses threat to you, to your safety, to health of your business, right? So this is situational or analysis. It is the process of determining the state of an organization business, where you are, and identifying the gaps and taking the corrective action, right? If there is any gap, identify those gaps and take the corrective actions to fulfill those gaps and reach to your destination. Some of the businesses tool that can be used for situational analysis are environmental modeling, competition analysis, and the knowledge analysis. So, how could you analyze your situation? Right? There are certain tools like the environment modeling tool, competition analysis, and the knowledge analysis. Environmental modeling, that is external. This tool help us to perform a macro analysis of the factors that may affect the retailer's business dynamic. So, environmental modeling is this. That is, it helps us to perform a macro analysis of the factor like uh, uh, raising prices, consumerism, employee attitude towards the work, national and the world economy, technological developments, right? Is there any changes in the economy, national economy and the world economy, right? The technological development is what changes are going on in the technological field, right? Employees attitude towards work, how they are working, what is their attitude, and then the prices, raising pricings and the consumerism. Then another factors, right? The like industry structure. What is the present structure of the industry? What are the marketing strategies adopted by the industry? Financing and the government regulations and the product. All these are the macro environmental. These are the macro analysis of the external environment, right? Which is outside your control. You cannot control any of these macro environment, which is outside the control. And like national economy, global economy, technological development, employee attitude is the thing which is under the control. Then structure and marketing, that is the industrial structure. It is not in your control. Government strategies, financing, products, all these are the macro environment. Then the competitive analysis, right? Competitive analysis is that is you are analyzing the segmentation of the market and the competitors profile. What is the segmentation of the market? That is you are doing, what is the segmentation is dividing the heterogeneous market into homogeneous group, right? So you are analyzing the market segmentation and that is you have divided the market into the homogeneous group. You made the segmentation of the whole market, and now you have to choose your target audience or your target group whom you want to cater, right? So it is important to analyze the market segmentation, on what basis you are segmenting your market and on what basis you want to sell off your product, right? Then the competitors profile. It is important to understand who all your competitors are, right? What are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, right? So is there any, if they possesses any threat to your business or not, today or even in near future. So it is important to understand the competitive analysis. It is understand to and it is important to understand the strategic planning or the strategies of the competitors. This helps us to understand the competition and search for the opportunity. If there is any competition, what all are opportunities are there? SWOT analysis, that it is important to understand the strength of the business, the weaknesses of the business, opportunities, and the threats if there are any, right? Threats that the competitors could be the threat, the opportunities is that is you want to search for the opportunities to after understanding the competition, and you can do it after understanding your strengths and weaknesses. But it tells us that do not let them dictate your action, as by reacting to the actions of others you are moving away from ability to control your own future. So it is important to understand the competitive analysis, make your plan to cope up with this type of the competitors, but don't move away or don't copy them. Then comes the knowledge analysis. This tool is used to determine the level of knowledge currently existing in the organizational process, because knowledge is the thing which changes, right? That is, there is a vast arena for the knowledge, right? If one cannot have full knowledge about anything, so it is very important to determine the level of knowledge that is currently existing in the organizational process, right? It could be your weakness, that is the knowledge could be your weakness as well as could be your strength. If you have a enough knowledge, or if you have much knowledge about the business, about the product, about the market or other thing, it could help, it could be your strength and could help you to grow. If you don't have the knowledge, then it could be your weakness. So this tool is used to determine the level of knowledge currently existing in the organizational process. There are two type of knowledge, that is the explicit knowledge and the tacit knowledge. The tacit knowledge is hidden and is not easily seen or recognized as being important. It derives the competitive advantage. Explicit knowledge, which is known to everyone, that is the explicit knowledge, while other knowledge is hidden and not easily seen or recognized and is being important. That is important type of a knowledge, and it derives the competitive advantage. It could be the competitive advantage for any of the organization. Strategy development task is essentially a two-step process. Whenever you are developing a strategy for any of the business, it is a two-step process. First is identifying the strategic thrust, and second is determining what culture is required to support the chosen strategy. We discuss the various type of the culture. First is to understand or to identify the strategic thrust. It is important while you are developing a strategy. The first step is to identify the strategic thrust, what all will be the strategic thrust, and secondly, determine what culture is required to support this chosen strategy. The basic strategy will fall into one of the three focuses, right? So the operational excellence, that is the identify the strategic thrust, that it could be of the three, it could be on the basis of the three focuses, that is the operational excellence. Operational excellence means what? It could be the low price, efficient customer services, what type of operational excellence you will have. Product leadership is product excellence and innovations, that your product is excellent and innovative. You are introducing, always introduce a product, innovative product. Then the customer intimacy could be there, that is emphasis on customer relationship within the specific segment, right? So customer relationship within the specific segment. So that depends on the thirst as well as on the culture is chosen strategy, right? There are various type of the strategy. The one of those type of strategy is the deliberate strategy. What is this deliberate strategy? Deliberate strategy. The process starts with an analysis of company's current mission and strategy. So this deliberate strategy process starts with the analysis of the company's current mission and strategies. What is the current mission of the company? Is there any change required in the mission? And what all strategies the companies follows at present? Is it are they good enough, or is there some changes are required? So deliberate strategy. The most popular tool used in this process is the SWOT model, that is the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. That is the current mission and the strategy. What all are the strength of the organization, weaknesses of the business, opportunities, and threats for business, right? The external environment in terms of opportunity and the threat is analyzed by examining the threat of the company's current position and new opportunities for the company, like new customers, new applications, unfulfilled customer needs, etc. What all are the opportunities? So these SWOT analysis, strength and weaknesses are the internal environment, because the strength of an organization, that is on the basis of because of the internal environment, and weaknesses is because of the internal environment. Any organization can work on their weakness and can convert their weakness into the strength. But opportunities are threats are the external environment, right? Opportunities in terms of examining the that is opportunities, but all new opportunities are available in the market, like new customers, new appliances, or applications, or unfulfilled customer needs. And the threats that the threat to the company's current position. It could be the competitors, it could be the government policies, it could be the other things. The analysis proceeds by examining the company's internal environment in terms of its strength and weaknesses. That is what I explained. A mission and competitive strategies formulated that matches the opportunities with the strength, and plans are made to strengthen the areas of weakness. So this in this strategy, a mission and competitive strategies formulated that strategies formulated a mission and the competitive strategies formulated in such a way that matches the opportunities with the strength, right? Because we have the strength, and these could be the opportunities that matches the opportunities with the strength, and plans are made to strengthen the areas of weakness so that it could be converted into strength. The next step is to develop the functional strategies that support the overall business level and the competitive strategies, right? Then develop the functional strategies to support overall business and the competitive strategies like marketing, human resources, financial operations, information system, R&D strategies are developed that support the business unit strategy. So all these are the strategies which are required to develop. A control system, that is the organizational structure, is designed to ensure that the operational decisions are made consistent with the business and the functional strategies. There are certain business and the functional strategies, that is missions and the competitive strategies. There are operational strategies are required to for functional strategies are required to support the overall business. And with this, a well-defined organizational structure is required, right? So that there should be it should be designed that the control system should be designed in such a way that the operational decisions are made consistent with the business functional strategies, so that there is a relationship between the functional strategies and the that is the operational strategies or the operational decision. When everyday decisions do not conform to the business or the functional strategies, the intended strategy become unrealized strategy. So it is required that everyday function should conform to the organizational strategies or the business or the functional strategies. If they do not match, then the intended strategy become an unrealized strategy, right? So another type of strategy is an emergent strategy. What is emergent strategy? It is a result of incremental decision making that achieves some degree of consistency over time and launches the organization towards a direction. When decisions are taken or problems are solved, they have potential strategic impact. So these are the emergent strategy, right? As per the political model of decision making is by the nature of politic process with various claimants attempting of influencing each decisions, right? The execution of the strategy happens across the corporate level, business level, and the focus level, right? So when when there is a strong control system that ensure that the decision makers satisfy the managerial constraint intends the strategy to become realized. So eminent strategy, that is emergent strategy, a result of the incremental decision making. Now there are the corporate level strategies. We make the strategies at the different level, the corporate level strategies, right? Business unit level strategies, right? And we make the strategies at each and every level of the business. The corporate level strategies are strategies that can be considered by the corporate level team, right? That is the integration. What is the corporate level strategy? That is at the level of the corporate, like the integration could be the forward integration, backward integration, vertical integration, horizontal integration. What is forward integration? Gaining ownership or control over distributor and the retailer. That is the forward integration. Corporate level means business is doing something, that is forward integration. They are integrating or gaining the ownership or control over the distributor or the retailer, right? Then the backward integration, seeking ownership or control of the suppliers, right? That is when you are integrating with the retailer, distributor, that is the forward integration. Backward integration, who is supplying you, when you are seeking ownership or control of the supplier, that is backward integration. Horizontal integration, seeking ownership or control over the competitors, that is the horizontal integration. This could be done in many ways, right? Then the diversifications are there. Diversification is what strategies at corporate level could be the integration strategy. Then the diversification strategy. What is the diversification strategy? That is concentric, adding new or related product line, diversifying it. Matlab concentric. Concentric means you are adding a new or a related product line. Then the conglomerate diversification, adding new but unrelated product line. That product line is not related to that, right? That is conglomerate. Then the joint venture, two or more sponsoring firm forming a separate organization for cooperative purpose, that is the joint venture. So diversification is adding new or related product line is concentric, right? Then conglomerate is adding a new line but altogether different product line. And then joint venture, when two or more sponsoring firms forming a separate organization for cooperative purpose, right? Then another strategy could be corporate level strategy, could be the market penetration, seeking the increased share for the present product through enhanced marketing efforts. That is the marketing penetration. You wanted to increase your market share, you want to increase or penetrate into the larger market, right? Seeking increased market share for the present product through enhanced marketing efforts. Then the market development, introducing the present product in the new market, is the market development. Then product development, seeking increased sales by improving the present product, that is product development. You are developing a product, you are rectifying your product, improving your product, and seeking increased sales. Then the retrenchment is could be another business corporate level strategy, when the business group that is regrouping business through cost and asset reduction to reverse the declining sales and the profits. When you are retrenching from the market, or when you are retrenching a certain product from the market, that could be your retrenchment, right? So it could be the another strategy. All these words, the that is the diversification and the integration at the corporate level strategy. Then the business level strategies, then there will be the business level strategy. Business level strategies, what all be are the business level strategy? It involves, business strategy involves determining the basis of customer or client decision making, right? That is, it determines the basis of customer or client decision making. On what basis you determine your client or the customer? These are based on the some combination of quality, services, cost, time, quality of the experience. So business level strategy, it is related, it is based on the customer or the client decision making, right? That is based on the customer or client decision making, right? They are generally based on some combination of quality. What quality would you like to provide to your customer? What type of services would you like to provide to your customer? Cost, right? That depends on your customer, your target customers, the time, at what time, and the quality of the experience which you would like to provide to your customers or the client. These are the business level strategies, right? Then the cost leadership strategy, right? Cost leadership strategy is what? Again, business level strategy. With this strategy, a firm competes on the price. Various functional strategy emphasize the cost reduction. Cost leadership strategy, that when you are competing on the prices, as the name indicates, this is the cost leadership strategy. This is an effective strategy when the market is compromised of many price sensitive buyers, when there are few ways to achieve product differentiation, when buyers do not care much about the differences from brand to brand, right? Or when there are large number of buyers with significant bargaining power, right? When this strategy is an effective strategy. This strategy is an effective strategy when the market is compromised by many price sensitive buyers, when the buyers are the price sensitives, right? They don't care about the differentiation of the product, how your product is different from the other product. I don't care. I need a soft drink, whether it is of Coke or it is of Pepsi. So I don't care about the differentiation, right? Or when there are the large number of buyer with the significant bargaining power, they have a bargaining power. If you will not provide me the product at my cost, I'll move to some other brand, right? Some risk or the potential threat of pursuing this strategy are that the competitors may imitate this strategy, thus driving overall industry profit down. Technological breakthrough in the industry by other firm or the buyer interest may swing to the other differentiating feature besides the price, right? So if there are certain disadvantages, that it could be that the competitor could copy or imitate the strategy, and another case that is if in case of any technological breakthrough in the industry by any of the firms or the may switch the buyer's interest to to other company because of the prices as well as the differentiating feature, right? So cost leadership strategy is there, right? At the business level, when you are selling your product on the basis of the cost, when you are competing on the basis of the cost, then the differentiation strategies relies on the some basis of product differentiation, how your product is different from the others product, such as flexibility, specific features, how your product, that is on the basis of the features, service, time, availability, low maintenance, are the basis of the competition. Product development and market research are generally necessary component of the differentiation strategies. Right, market research is required. What is the required by the? It is important to know what is required by the client, right? And the product development is required, that you should develop a product which should be actually different from the competitor's product. A successful differentiation strategy allows a firm to charge premium price for the product. This is an advantage for the differentiation strategy. If your product is actually differentiated from, if your product is actually different from the others product, right? A successful differentiation strategy allows the firms to charge premium prices for its product, right? Organization needs strong R&D department with a strong coordination between the R&D marketing department, right? Human resource strategy must place emphasis on maintaining a competitive skill base, motivating employee towards the basis of differentiation. Then the common risk or the potential threats of this differentiation strategy could be: there may not exist the necessary price, feature, or trade-off among the customer to justify the higher prices. That you are differentiating on basis of which you are differentiating your product may not be taken by the customer, right? That may not exist the necessary price, feature, trade-off among the customer. Development of a copy of a differentiating feature with cost-effective R&D. Then next strategy could be the focus or the niche strategies. What is the focus strategy or the niche strategy? It depends upon the industry segment that is of sufficient size, right? Has good potential growth and is not crucial to success of major competitors. The focus strategy are pursued in a limited market in conjunctions with cost leadership and differentiation strategies. Right? So focus or the niche strategy depends upon the industry segment that is of the sufficient size, right? Where there is a good growth, potential growth, right? Focus strategies are pursued in a limited market in conjunction with the cost leadership or differentiation strategies. Focus strategy are most effective when the consumers have distinctive preferences or requirements, or when the rivals are not attempting to specialize in the same target segment. So, focus strategies are effective when the consumers have a distinctive preferences or requirement, when they want something different, and when the competitors are not attempting to specialize the same target, and you are focusing on that niche, on that segment who has a distinct preferences or the requirement. Risk of pursuing a focus strategy includes possibility that the numerous competitor recognize the successful focus strategy and copy the strategy. Right after being a successful, right, the competitor can copy the strategy, or that consumer preferences drift towards those of the market as a whole, or another risk could be that the consumer preferences could drift towards those of the market as a whole. Customer groups, geographical areas, and specific products line are some basis of the focus strategies. On what basis you can focus, that is on the basis on specific customer group. You can focus on the specific customer group. Geographical area, that you are specifying on a certain geographical area or a certain specific product line. When someone is focusing on the specific product line, are some basis of the focus strategies. Then comes the functional strategies. What all are the functional strategies? These strategies helps in addressing the questions like how do organization functional unit contributes to the business level strategies. We discussed about the various business level strategies. That is how the organizational functional unit, those who are actually producing functioning, how they contribute to the business level strategies. How can functional strategy be integrated to achieve the competitive advantage? They constitute the following strategies like marketing strategies, right? How do we communicate our strength to the customer? How do we identify the customer requirement and changes in the customer requirement? Marketing strategy. Human resources strategy. How do we recruit, train, and develop and motivate, compensate, and place an employee so that the behavior is directed towards the competitive strategy and work to build the competitive advantage? Financial strategy. How do we secure the financial resources necessary to carry out our competitive strategy? So functional strategies, that is how to integrate our functional strategies with the business level strategy so that we can achieve our business level strategy, and in turn the corporate level strategy. Functional level strategies like the marketing strategy. How will we communicate or create the need for the product? Human resource strategy includes, that is, the recruitment, training, and development of the employees, keep workforce motivated so that they could work for the organization. Financial strategies, that is functional strategies, that is how do we secure financial resources necessary to carry out the competitive strategies. Then the operation strategies. How do we design our processes to produce a product or service that meet the customer requirement as specified in our strategy? Then after functional strategies comes the operational strategies. Operational strategy is how will we develop a process or a procedure or the product or the service that meets the customer requirement as specified, right? Then the information system strategy. How do we provide the decision maker how do we provide the decision maker at all level with information necessary to make decision consistent with the strategy? R&D strategies. How do we develop product consistent with the customer requirement as specified in the strategy? uh, every time we have to do the research and development, right, so that we could meet the requirement of the customer. How will we do that, right? So today we discussed about the retail environment, various macro and micro environment. Micro environment, the extra micro and the macro environment. Macro environment is, that is the external environment which is not under the control. Micro environment which is in which it includes, which is inside the environment of inside the organization. Then we discussed about the various type of the strategies, right? Like the corporate, we discussed about the corporate level strategies, we discussed about the business level strategies. Today we discussed about the functional strategies and the operational level strategies, and all strategies should be integrated in a way so that we could achieve our target. That is the operational strategies, that there are certain corporate level strategy. As per with the corporate level strategy, we form our business level strategy, right? In line with the business level strategy, we frame our functional level strategy, and in line with the functional level strategy, we frame our operational level strategy, so that we can achieve our targets or the objectives. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.